Hey everyone, Dave here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's watch review is a special one, not because a brand sent this out, not because it was on sale, but because this one is my early Christmas gift from my wife. She asked me what I wanted this year, and of course I said a watch, but instead of just giving her one option, I put together a short list of pieces all in the same price range, and this is the one that she picked, the Sea-Gull 1963 International Edition. And honestly, I'm really glad that she did. I would have been happy with any of them, but especially happy about this because I had this on my list. It's a watch I've wanted for a long time. I've seen it in plenty of other YouTubers' collections, and honestly, for what you're getting in terms of heritage, movement, build quality, and for this price, it's a really fair deal. So again, another unsponsored video for you to check out today. But here's the thing, you've got to be a little careful when you're shopping for a 1963 model. They're not all created equal, and you'll see prices all over the place. Some are true Sea-Gull builds coming straight from the Tianjin Watch Factory, some are licensed copies, and some are, let's just say, they're not exactly what you think you're getting. So in this video, I'm not only going to show you the watch that my wife picked out for me, but I'll also break down exactly what to look for when buying a 1963 model so you can be confident you're getting a real Sea-Gull version. And trust me, that does matter, and I'll explain later in the video why. Now, before we get into the details of this version, let's talk about what the Sea-Gull 1963 actually is, because this watch has a pretty cool backstory if you're not already familiar with it. The original 1963 was a military chronograph developed for the Chinese Air Force, and inside those watches was a movement based on the Swiss Venus 175. Back in the early 1960s, the Venus company sold the tooling and the rights to manufacture that movement to the Tianjin Watch Factory, the same factory that eventually became Sea-Gull. Fast forward to today, and Sea-Gull still produces a modernized version of that movement, now called the ST1901. It runs at a higher beat rate, it has more jewels, and is still built with a column wheel chronograph system, which is something normally reserved for much more expensive watches. So the modern 1963 reissues, including this international edition, are directly connected to that original military project. And honestly, that heritage is a huge part of why this watch is such a loved piece in the watch community. Now let's address the part I promised earlier, how to make sure you're getting a real Sea-Gull 1963 and not one of the many clones or third-party versions floating around. And here are the key things you need to look for, and once you know them, it becomes really easy to spot a genuine Tianjin Watch Factory piece. Number one is the branding must have the hyphen. Real factory watches always use Sea-Gull with a hyphen. If the logo or the listing says Sea-Gull as one word, no hyphen, then that's a third-party manufacturer. And this is one of the quickest and easiest tells. Number two is the dial text must have two lines of Chinese characters. A real Sea-Gull dial has two characters at the top line and a longer line of characters underneath. If the watch only has a single line of text, it's not coming from the Tianjin factory. Number three is the jewel count tells you which movement it is. And here's a detail that a lot of people miss. 21 Zhuan, I'm probably mispronouncing that, on the dial is the ST19 movement, and that's the older sourced ones. 22 Zhuan notated on the dial is the modern ST1901 used in the official Sea-Gull versions. The international edition should say 22 Zhuan, again, matching that movement. Number four is the movement finishing itself. When you look at this, the real ST1901 has blued screws, it has cleanly decorated bridges, and a sharp, properly machined column wheel. The clones tend to have rough edges or incorrect markings. It's just not as good as far as finishing goes. Number five, the price range should make sense. Sea-Gull prices this international edition around $200, sometimes lower, sometimes higher, depending on sales. And if you're seeing the prices way too low, it's probably not a Sea-Gull. The other thing is if the prices are too high, but with the wrong dial or branding, that's not the official edition either. So all of these checks together make it pretty easy to verify whether you're holding the real thing. And since Sea-Gull changed their policy, now requiring brands to buy 10,000 ST19 movements, clones will get harder to make, which is going to make the genuine versions even more appealing moving forward. So here are the specs on the watch. You have a case diameter of 37.4 millimeters, lug width is 18 millimeters, and the thickness on this is gonna come in at around 14.7 millimeters, but 3 millimeters of that is the domed crystal itself. It will weigh around 60 grams, and that crystal being used is a mineral glass bubble dome. Water resistance on this watch is going to be 30 meters. It does have an exhibition case back, and it will come with different strap options. Mine came with the NATO style, but I did notice in the box there was also a leather strap included as well. So it does have a signed buckle. This is a very wearable vintage size watch with a lot of presence thanks to that massive dome crystal up on top. Now, I definitely want to take a minute to talk about the design of this watch because this is where the international edition really shines. The case is all polished stainless steel, and the transitions between surfaces are surprisingly crisp for a watch at this price. You get piston style pushers, a push-pull crown that is unsigned, and a thin fixed bezel that frames the dial nicely. And speaking of that dial, it is absolutely stunning. The champagne tone in person has this soft shimmer that really comes alive in various lighting. And you get applied markers, a framed red star at 12 o'clock. There's clean printing, and those blued and red hands that pop right off the dial just look absolutely amazing. Now the subdials, this is a bicompax layout, and they are symmetrical with your running seconds at 9 o'clock and your 30-minute chronograph counter at 3 o'clock. It's a very traditional pilot chronograph layout and style. There isn't any lume on the watch, but honestly, it does still fit that vintage style and gives it that clean classic look. So if you have got to have lume on your watch, this one won't tick that box. Now let's take a minute and go just a bit deeper into the movement because this is a big part of what makes the 1963 special. So again, that ST1901 is a hand-wound column wheel chronograph with real roots in Swiss watchmaking. As I mentioned, it's based on the old Venus 175, which ran at 18,000 vibrations per hour, but Sea-Gull modernized it with a higher beat rate, more joules, and better overall reliability. Now, my particular watch is running with an accuracy of around +8 to +10 seconds per day. It has an amplitude of right around 283, and there is a 0.5 beat error, which is just a little bit higher than I'd like, but still within acceptable range. And again, this is running at 3 Hertz. So for a hand-wound column wheel chronograph at this price, those numbers are pretty solid. And because it's a column wheel design, you get that smooth, crisp chronograph action when you press the pushers. And that's something that you normally see in watches that cost significantly more. You can even see the column wheel working through the exhibition caseback, which is such a cool detail on a piece at this price point. Now, it's not a hacking movement, so the seconds hand keeps ticking when you pull the crown out to set the time, but I'd say that's just part of the charm of older style mechanical chronographs. Now on wrist, this thing has become shockingly comfortable. Even though the height is around 15 millimeters, that case curves nicely and that bubble crystal makes it feel more compact than it looks. And on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, it wears extremely well. It's light, it's balanced, and again, vintage look without feeling outdated like some true vintage pieces can be. Now the included NATO strap is pretty simple, but good stitching, good hardware, matches the case, and it does have a signed Tang buckle. But the nice thing is with that 18 millimeter lug width, you can swap straps endlessly. So leather, canvas, perlone. I mean, this watch is gonna look good on just about everything and anything. All right, so as far as spending some time with this on the wrist, let me break down the pros and cons. So the pros are that, again, for the price, column wheel chronograph, mechanical hand wind, amazing. You're getting the real Sea-Gull heritage, the real ST1901 movement, a beautiful dial, great finishing, the exhibition case back that shows off the movement, and a very wearable size for various wrist sizes out there. This will make a great gift. I'm a little biased in that regard, and it's a great collector piece, I gotta say. Now, when it comes to the cons, the mineral crystal instead of sapphire crystal or acrylic is a bit of a bummer. The 30 meters water resistance might be a deal breaker for some people, so just keep in mind, don't go swimming or jump into the ocean with it. And the unsigned crown and lack of lume are just a few things that make it feel a little lacking. Honestly, these are clearly intentional choices from Sea-Gull to keep the price lower and to differentiate it from their $600 versions. And I think they hit the sweet spot that still delivers great value for what you get. This watch absolutely lives up to the hype. It's one of those pieces that reviewers always keep in their collections, and now that I have it in person, I completely understand why. The movement has real history behind it. The design is iconic, and the fact that Sea-Gull released an official international edition for this price, I think is one of the best entry-level mechanical chronographs that you can buy. Now, if you've ever been on the fence about the 1963, or you've wondered whether you should buy a clone or get the real thing, I'll just say this. Pony up, get the real Sea-Gull version while it's still priced relatively affordable. I'm personally thrilled that this is the one my wife picked out for me. This one's going to stay in my collection for a long time. And I'm gonna put the official Sea-Gull, AliExpress, and Amazon links in the video description and comments for you, so that way you can at least go to where mine was purchased from. But share your thoughts with me. Let me know in the comments what you think of this watch. If you own one of the clones or you have the real deal, I'd love to get your feedback. But subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to like. I really appreciate that, and I will see you all at the next one. Until then, as always, may the Schwartz be with you. Take care.